We're going to be talking about how we integrated our curriculum at the college, why we decided to make the changes we did, what those changes are going to entail, and what the future holds for us. But before I say anything more, I also want to let you know, even though it's Richard and I who are presenting, this really was a departmental effort. Some of my faculty are here with us today. They had a major role in this, and so I'd like to thank them for the work that they did. So much of what you're going to hear this morning is kind of a backward step from what Passaic was talking about at the opening session. So we're about a step or two behind them. So maybe you could think of how, take a step back, and then we're hopefully moving in that direction.
Who's been a very great help in moving the program along and helping us to resolve some issues we had been experiencing in the past with getting our students out of ESL and into regular college classes, including composition. So he's helping us to create a pathway that will allow our students to directly go from ESL into freshman composition without having to go into developmental. And that's a big driver behind the change in our program. So I'd like to talk first about our current program and what it looks like. I think you have a handout on your table that shows the current curriculum. If you see there's 5 levels, and the courses are divided into discrete courses, meaning that there's separate courses like in the beginning level for phonology, for discussion, for grammar, for writing. So that's what it looks like now. And if you're a beginning student coming in at the first level, you can see it looks like a pretty long path to travel to get through with the ESL program. The classes are 3 to 4 credits per course. The classes that have 4 credits, 4th credit is a lab that students go to that is really supervised by the lab coordinator, and that's something that in the future program will be eliminating. Altogether, there were 67 credits in the program, and we had 10 full-time faculty, and we have about 40 adjuncts, about 900 students at the current time. So for our resources, we have 3 labs in Edison. We have a writing lab, we have a phonology lab, and we have a lab where the students go for that extra 1 credit, where they do grammar and writing classes, basically. And for the 4th level, there's a reading class, has a lab component. We have also a center in Perth Amboy, and we have a lot of ESL students there. And we do have a lab there as well. Right now, we don't have classes running in the New Brunswick Center, but even if there was, I don't think there ever was a lab there. For some reason, enrollment, we couldn't sustain, so right now just non-credit classes are taking place in the New Brunswick Center. So if you look at how our students break down, we say we have about 900 students. You can see the percentages here. About 15.5% level 1, and about a similar number level 2. And then at the top, we got about 27%. Students can enter in at any level based on the placement test. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. We have another slide that shows where they come in.
So one thing we wanted to consider is how successful are our students in our program. And we have some good numbers, and we have some numbers that demonstrated to us we needed to relook at what we're doing. So if you look at pass rates, the lowest pass rate we have is at that level 1 listening course with only a 61% pass rate. I can't tell you why that number is so low. I know I've never taught the course. It might be a challenging course to assess. But then on the opposite scale, you have a 94% pass rate in our level 3 phonology discussion course. But then if you look at some of the other courses, more typically we're in that 75% range. The level 4 reading and writing courses, the last reading writing course at level 5. So about that 75% pass rate. So not too bad. Could be better. We also were able to determine that any given semester, 40% of our 40% of our students are new students. So if you determine that if we have 75% of our students are moving out of our program, and our enrollment is pretty much staying the same, we're losing a significant population every semester. And so we figure we're losing about 25% of our students any given semester. They're either dropping out, they're stopping out. We're not exactly sure why. We're not sure what's going on there. So one thing we would like to do in a future study is to reach out to those students and find out what is going on. And we suspect there are some common issues. Financial aid may be an issue, family issues may be another concern they have. But if there are things that our program is doing that are creating unnecessary barriers, then we need to find a way to remove those so we can help our students continue with our program and not get frustrated and leave us. So this chart demonstrates how our ESL students do in content courses compared to non-ESL students. Now, unlike the Passaic model that you heard this morning, these are not, by and large, these are not paired courses. We have had run a learning community with a Psychology 123 course, but the other courses, the accounting, the business, the communication, these are standalones. These are students who just enrolled in the class. They had no other additional ESL support. And by and large, if you can read that scary mass of numbers, our students do about the same, if not better, except for a few courses. And so that tells us that if given a chance, our students can be successful. They are able to pass that content course and be able to move on. And so we don't want to eliminate those opportunities for them, but we want to be able to expand those chances for them to continue to move into their program while they're taking ESL. And then if we compare how our students do once they reach the composition course, we asked to do a comparison of former ESL students with former developmental students, and then students who did not take any ESL or any developmental courses in the English composition course. And one thing that jumps out when we saw this is that our students do better than developmental students, so we know that we're preparing our students. Any English department faculty here? I don't want to disparage anybody here, but it tells us that in our department we are getting our students, I hate to say better prepared, but ready for that English 121. But at the same time, we realize compared to the non-developmental, non-ESL English students, 121 students, there's still a bit of a gap. So there's more that we could do to make our students be successful in that classroom.
As I mentioned earlier, we would have a breakdown of how our students enter our program. So if you look across the top there, those numbers represent our 5 levels. And as you can see, also this chart includes the breakdown between full-time and part-time. So here on the Edison campus, we have more students coming in at a higher level, but still a significant number coming in at level 1. And in the Perth Amboy campus, it's pretty much the opposite. We have most of the students coming in at level 1, and more of them are part-time. So with moving level 1 over to the non-credit side, which is part of our new curriculum. So this slide shows the enrollment at each level. And again, you can see the significant number at the beginning level in Perth Amboy and the larger numbers at the higher levels here.
We know that financial aid is a big piece of the puzzle for our ESL students. And continue with that trend with the Perth Amboy students enrolling at a much higher percentage in the lower levels, much higher percentage as part-time students. We also see that our Perth Amboy students are much more dependent upon financial aid than our students who come to Edison. You can see we're from a high of 92%, and even nothing lower than 85%. So very much dependent on financial aid. So how do we help this student population retain their financial aid so they can continue through ESL and on to their degree? So one conversation we had was with our new financial aid director. And we asked him very pointedly, what do the financial aid guidelines have to say about ESL? And he did some research. He consulted with some of his colleagues and some of his let's say superiors or his directors above him. And this is what he has come back and he has told us. So from the handbook, a student may receive FSA funds for English as a second language courses that are part of a larger eligible program. So what that means is if the student's ESL coursework is connected to an eligible program of study, the maximum time frame will not be an issue for these students. ESL courses do not count against the one-year limit on remedial courses. So how he has interpreted this for us is if we can demonstrate through placement testing that a student needs ESL, we can customize a program, a degree program for that student that includes ESL as part of the degree requirements. So that means is for an associate's in arts, for example, it's 61 credits. If a student would come in and say would need 54 credits of ESL at whatever level that would be, the total credit hours for that customized program would be 115 credits. So by the 1.5 or 150% formula, a student will be able to receive 172.5 credits of Pell for ESL and for their degree. And that's also true for an associate's in applied science, for example. So we have to demonstrate that ESL is necessary, and then we have to customize that program to incorporate the ESL coursework into their degree program. This was a new revelation to us, and it eliminates one piece of the financial aid problem, we think. So what this means is that we'll have to work with the financial aid office and the registration office to build these customized programs. The one caveat, though, is that third bullet point. This will allow students to have enough Pell funding to complete an ESL and associates. However, you run into time to completion issues. And so we can get them through, we can graduate them with an AA, but if they want to transfer for a 4-year, get a bachelor's, then they may be out of luck at that point. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but at least it takes care of that part of running out of financial aid before they even begin their associates. So some other considerations that we wanted to keep in mind while we were considering how our new program should look. We do want to understand that academic English proficiency is a long, arduous road. There's all sorts of research out there, 5 to 7 years to be academic proficient. And even further, there's more recent studies that say that could be as much as 10 to 12 to 13 years. So to move a student through 4 or 5 or 6 levels of ESL in itself is not sufficient based upon the research. They need continuous academic support. But at the same time, you can't just make a ginormous ESL program that lasts for 5 years because they'll never get through and they'll get frustrated and they want to move on to other goals. But we also want to make sure we maintain open access, and so whatever we do, we want to make sure our students have pathways to completion. And so I really appreciated the Passaic model and how they are working with their students to provide that for them.
So another driving force behind our course revision or program revision was the concept paper and the toolkit. The integrated combined skills course, as you saw before, we had discrete skills, and we had a lot of problems with that, really, I think, because we have like students, well, maybe they're taking one course at a time, and they would have like maybe 3rd level grammar and 4th level writing, and so it wasn't really coming together well in some cases, and students were suffering as a result of that. And then we have sometimes like students in the same level, like grammar 3, grammar and writing 3, and they could pass the grammar class, but they couldn't implement that in their writing class. So we thought it made a whole lot more sense to start combining skills, integrating skills. Other recommendations that are talked about in the toolkit are an English Comp 1 credit course for ESL. I don't think we're there yet. It's not at our college, but that's something that may be on the horizon. The ESL Certificate of Achievement, we've had a good model, I think, presented to us from Passaic. That might be something we can pursue here. And we're also trying to increase support services for our students as well. So we're following the concept paper toolkit to a large degree. We also did a program review, and from our program review, again, the integrated curriculum was a main factor, a main goal. We also found out that we need to do established level testing. We really hadn't had that before. So the teacher passed the student, he went up to the next level, and we were getting a lot of stuff, so considerable number of students at the top level who really weren't at that level. So that presented some difficulties for them transitioning out of the program. And along the same line, we wanted to align our outcomes with the English department a little bit more closely so that they don't have to go through developmental, which will be a huge thing for our students.
So with the cyclical review, we also asked Howard Pullman, that I'm sure many of you know, from Union County College, to come in and to review our program, review the report, and to give his recommendations. And you're seeing some very common themes here. He also suggested integrating and combining skills, looking at accelerated courses, that English comp combined with ESL, improved tutoring, and an ESL certificate of achievement. And then the last piece, probably the most important piece, is the faculty committee that looked at our program and made their own recommendations and devised the program and the curriculum. And so the proposed program you have in front of you is what has gone through several iterations, but this is what we are working towards. This is the new program that we're pushing through, creating an ESL path to credit level programs, aligning the ESL curriculum with developmental English. So we have called separate paths to the same goal, taking consideration the Common Core requirements, integrated courses, level testing, and the Language Resource Center to supplement and to help our students out. So I'm sorry, now I skipped ahead a little bit. So the other handout you have on your table is the new program. There are 4 levels. We're going to talk about what happened to that 5th level in a moment. It's integrated classes. We have 8 required courses. Those courses are writing and structure and speaking and reading. We also are going to incorporate 2 supplemental accent reduction courses. We're trying to devise a voice and diction course at the credit level that our students could take for those who need it, but then a supplemental phonology course for those students who do need some added work on accent pronunciation. We will eliminate the lab component from those courses that we had before. We've added a reading course to level 4, which was not there before. And so our total program is now 40 credits, whereas before it was 67, now we're down to 40. So a little leaner, but we hope with the integration of curriculum that we can provide a more intensive, more supportive environment for our students so they can move forward. So we think about the concerns. This new program does have some changes involved in it. So we have some advantages that we know we can celebrate. We can progress our students more quickly through ESL. We know that our students will benefit from the curriculum and be ready for college coursework upon leaving the program. However, we do have that concern. We've eliminated that first level, which I know many colleges are considering or not have done so already. So how do we maintain that open access for those low-level ESL students, especially taking into consideration that at our Perth Amboy Center, 63% of those students start to level 1. So that's a big population that we have to address that we just can't ignore. And then if you combine that with the Edison population of level 1 students, we're talking about 25% of our student enrollment. So we can't take that lightly. So moving forward, we are now at the stage where next Thursday, the program will go before our college assembly for college approval of the program, which the one that you see before you. The last final step will be the president, Joanna Pula-Morales, will have to sign off on this, but we've already pretty much have her endorsement, so I think we're in good shape there. We're looking at a fall 2016 full implementation. The question is, why do we need to wait so long? Why can't we do this right away? Well, there's a number of big pieces left that we have to figure out. And one of those big pieces is that continuing education pre-academic level. We have just started now talking with our continuing education director how we can build that. And I really like that Passaic presentation this morning, so they gave us some good ideas how we might want to do that. because we want to make sure there's rigor there, so students who enter in that program are then ready for a smooth transition to our academic program. But at the same time, we want to provide that easy access, and so we want to be sensitive to the financial needs of those students as well as the time concerns for those students. We are in the process of developing the level testing. We'll have a departmental level test. We're working on the writing test and working on the reading tests. We have to take a look at our placement test. Are we testing our students at the right level? See if there are things we can tweak there. We have to work on a new schedule. We've gone from 5 courses, discrete courses, to in any one level to 2 courses. And what is that schedule going to look like? Is that 2 days a week? Is that 4 days a week? Is it 2 hours? Is it 4 hours? What's that schedule going to be like? We need to start transitioning our students. We just can't throw this into them and say, ta-da, new program. We've got to work with the current students so they know how to get ready for that transition if they want to try and hurry up and finish before the new program starts, or if they're kind of in the middle. Do they need to kind of catch up on some lower level skills so that they're not this kind of split placement where they are right now? And then we also want to make sure we provide professional development for our faculty, for those who are teaching this. Some are familiar with integrated curriculum teachings, some it's a new thought, and so we want to make sure everybody is comfortable and well prepared for that. That's the next steps. And then the future, looking down maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, looking at those ALP courses, maybe combining level 2 and 3, a level 5 with English 121. So for those students who demonstrate that they are ready, that we can even move them quicker through the program. Looking at safety net courses in the winter and summer, so students who don't quite pass that level test, aren't quite ready, rather than make them take a whole semester of that level over again, to have a 2-week intensive safety net, allow them the chance to kind of brush up those skills so they can then move on with their career. And then, as many people have mentioned, an ESL certificate of achievement to provide credentials, proof of completion, however that may look for us, so our students have something in hand, they can feel confident and competent in what they've been able to do.